Welcome back to DIRT4 with Mistex. I'm currently doing a one of the earlier career events with the classic cars. I'm running the Ford Mark II. So this car, it's been a real roller coaster so far, I must say. So I drove it with the default. Did a shakedown with the default. I mean, it feels alright. It's definitely a very strange feeling. Like it's really just like snappy, left and right. So I went and I started tuning it. I left the alignment alone at first, turned the brakes down. I then had turned the LSD driving lock down to, actually I put it at 0 and then drove the car, didn't do anything else. It was as I figured it would slide out and you couldn't catch it. So I then kept pushing it to the right. I think I went up to like 16%, drove it. It felt pretty good that way. It was starting to feel better. I had this LSD preload at 0 as well. I drove it, said it felt pretty good. I then went, after that shakedown, I came back. I messed around with the gearing. I did some really dramatic things. I went really short on the final drive and kind of tweaked with the first through fifth gear on their own as well. It obviously didn't feel real great, so I moved it back up. It's still pretty short, but I lengthened all the gears a little bit, especially fifth gear, to get some decent top end for Michigan. I think my top end's like 121 miles an hour here in Michigan. I don't really think you'll be able to push much more out of it, honestly. And then I changed the slow bump. At first it was just -1 on the front, -2 in the rear. I changed that and I changed the springs. Um, I was going for more oversteer when I initially started setting the car up because I thought it needed more oversteer to be able to slide more. Well, I kept doing that. I kept doing it. Kept changing things. I made the rear a little bit higher than the front. I messed around with the ride height in various different ways. I kept the rear higher than the front and went really low and I went really high. It felt different. It drove okay, but in certain fast corners, especially here in Michigan, like there's this one left four in particular. It's like a left six into a left four, and about halfway through the corner, the track kind of dips, and I would lose the rear end around that corner every time for quite a few tries. So I kept tweaking with it. I couldn't get it to go away, so I was thinking to myself, I'm gonna add some understeer because honestly, it doesn't feel like it really has any understeer. It's just really snappy either direction, and you tend to just like snap the rear end back and forth. So I went with -2.0 toe in the front to give it, it makes the steering feel a little more vague, and you don't get nearly as hard of a turn-in input. I then gave the front a little more camber to give a little more traction in the corner. Since we're making the steering more vague anyway, that'll give us a little more of our grip back there. And then I came here. I had to keep turning the LSD driving lock up. I'm up to 28% now. I put this up one tick to the right to give a little understeer. It feels pretty good now. I could maybe move this preload up again. I might. I'm not gonna do it this run, but I might. I then moved the slow bump. I decided to make it a little bit better over the bumps even so. So I went a little bit lower on that. Another point. And the slow bump in the rear, I went down 2 more. And for this run, I'm actually going to soften both of the rebounds on this. And then I settled on having the rear a little bit lower than the front to give a little bit more understeer as well. I softened the rear a little bit, And I also set the rear anti-roll bar all the way to soft and turn the front anti-roll bar a little bit more firm. So that's what I've done to it so far. It actually feels quite good right now. Let's see what it feels like with these new dampening changes. So I'm gonna do, a stage here through this career. See if we can have a decent run. I've crashed this car quite a bit. It's been pretty difficult to drive. Difficult to drive fast.
All right, good
It's
position.
really
We'll get some
frightening
cash flow for
at
parts.
times. Not so much now, but it was. All right, here we go. I've been doing a second gear launch in this car
4,
too.
3, 2,
Turn
1.
the lights on, maybe.
Go. Right 4 through dip. Post inside. Keep middle over crest. Left 5. 200.
Turn them on so I can
right
see.
4 long. Keep
Dash.
in. 200. Right 6 over crest. 80. Left 6 through dip. Right 5. And left 6. 200. Left 6 over crest. Dip 150. Left 4 long. Keep in. Don't cut. 250.
Slow down for the left 4.
Right 4 long.
Duck
Keep
it in.
60.
You see that it slides pretty well. I'm not getting a snappy
Right 5.
throwback on the slide there.
And right 4.
It's pretty
60.
controlled.
Left 6.
Looks like going to the grass, which you might see.
And bump. And
right
left
4,
6.
bump.
Left 4. And
Ooh.
turn. Left 2.
Oh, don't catch it.
Right 5.
Wow, we got lucky.
And right 4. Post outside. 200.
Oh.
200 over bumps.
Feels pretty good now. That rebound helped even more.
Left 6
with the
through dip.
handling.
Right 5. And left 6. Left 5. 60. Right 4 through dip. Keep middle over crest. Left 5.
You can see
Right
it's
5,
pretty
don't
controllable,
cut.
and it
right
doesn't
4,
handle
don't
anything like
cut.
it did in its
200.
default setup. That's for
200
sure.
over bumps.
I think it feels way better now. You still got to get used to driving it, but it's
Right 5,
pretty fun.
keep left over crest. Jump maybe.
Pretty good little
left
car.
4 through dip. 60.
Oh, we're going down the hill.
Right 5, 150. Right 4 long. Keep in. Don't cut. 60. Post outside. Turn open hairpin left. 150. Right 3 long. Keep in. 250.
Try not to use the handbrake on those if I can.
Left 6 over crest.
Oh, that was not what I thought. Whoops. That was me not listening. Talking instead.
Left 3 long, keep in, 100. And right 6. And left 5, 40, through dip, water splash. Right 6 over crest, 150. Right 4 long, keep in, 80.
Windshield wipers, thank you.
Right 4 long, don't cut. And right 6, don't cut.
You can see you
100.
can get it
Left
pretty
6,
sideways
don't cut.
with
And left
quite a bit of
4
control.
long, 80. Right 5, keep left over crest, jump maybe, over finish, to stop. Whoa, 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 slow down for the marshal.
Alright, so that was my Ford Escort Mark II.
Perfect, good job.
Current
well done.
setup for the gravel anyway. It feels pretty good. I know a lot of people have had trouble with this car, myself being one of them. First time I drove it, I disliked it a lot. So, that is going to be it for this video. Not great, I got 77th on the first one. Still quite a ways behind the fastest guys, but that's okay. Pretty quick. I see they're both driving the Fiat, which I can understand. That car is really good. I think it's probably my favorite one in this class. Although this car is pretty good, but boy, it is not easy to set up. And I really think that, I'm not positive on this, I need to maybe set it up the way I had it and just watch a replay. But it seemed to me that the fast corners, if they had any sort of undulation in them, once I hit a certain speed around the corner, a certain angle, it would kick the inside wheel, I think, and then the wheels would spin up, and it'd just instantly lose grip. So that's it for this. I will see you next time.